All right, everybody, how's it going? My name is Taj, aka Tropic, and we're about to dive into some amazing Bitcoin stories. So, those of you that don't know, we dive into all these positive feel good stories related to Bitcoin every single Saturday afternoon. And I really appreciate every single person that is here live with us, hanging out with us, watching this show, and would really appreciate it. After all, it is a Saturday afternoon. If you share this with a friend, get other people into the room, and so on. But if you have never seen this show, you're not familiar with what we do here. So, Good Bit Show is the name of this stream right here. We feature positive stories within the world of Bitcoin that has nothing to do with price action, any of the crazy headlines that you normally see, trying to highlight some of these things. Now, these are some of the things that are very normal around the world: Africa, South America, Asian communities, and so forth. However, in a lot of the markets that we tend to be very prominent in, such as North America and Europe, these stories don't necessarily get enough limelight, if you will, spotlight. That's the word I'm trying to say. So we like to highlight them. So circular economies, feel good stories, and the tech that enables all this adoption worldwide. That's what we dive into. So welcome to the stream. And the first story that we're going to dive into, we're just going to go straight to the title story. Now, if you are not familiar with hardware wallets, I assume you are, you're in Bitcoin, you've been in this thing long enough. If this is your first introduction, well, Trezors are the OG hardware wallet. Now, I found a channel actually a while ago, to be quite honest, and this guy was showing people or recovering funds from a wallet. So his name is Joe Grand. Now, he is an old school cypherpunk from back in the day, like when most of us didn't even know what the internet was. This guy was at the forefront of everything. Well, anywho, a few years ago, I found a video of him. Maybe it was let me see, maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. He recovered funds from a wallet, a Trezor wallet that was found. That the individual had no idea what the seed phrase was, how to get into this thing, and all these different things. And he found different ways how to basically trick the thing and get into it so that the person could recover it. Now, if you are someone who is thinking, well, that doesn't sound like a good thing. That sounds absolutely scary, absolutely crazy. This thing's supposed to be locked down. Nobody can get into this thing. Now, this is not a compromise of Bitcoin. And this is actually a white hat hacker that has tricked the hardware wallet into downgrading the various security levels. And this is a guy that's been doing this thing for decades. So this is not like some ordinary teenager with a laptop. He built a huge soldering board to put the chip in. And it's pretty crazy what he does. But anyways, the reason why I'm bringing the story up, bringing these his channel up, highly recommend if you are someone that's really into the tech side of Bitcoin that you go to this. And this is a feel good story to me because when you actually see some of these stories, these people that are losing their wallets, like there's lots of stories of like people that had like sick children that died, divorces, you name it, all sorts of crazy soap opera type of stories that you never believe actually exist. But for whatever reason, in the process, whether it is moving, someone dying, all sorts of different things, they end up losing their seed phrase. And as a result of this, he physically takes apart the hardware wallet and, as I said, solders it onto the board and does all sorts of stuff. And this is a long process that takes really, really long. But as you can see there, he has built all this tech up, how to do this and so on. And again, it actually requires him to physically have it. But it is a feel good story because if you watch some of these videos and just watching how some people were at rock bottom, they thought they would never ever see their Bitcoin, millions of dollars has been recovered by this guy. It's absolutely just amazing what he's doing. And of course, if it's on the Trezor, then it could be literally anything. But it's not just Trezor, because the chip that actually, the security element, if you will, is what he's actually manipulating, if you will, to then get back into it and then get back into it and port everything over the seed phrase onto a new wallet that the person can then access and then access their funds. And just seeing their face, sometimes they break out in tears. They're so happy. But what actually gets crazy is some of these stories, on the other hand, are negative in the sense that they find out that their best friend, their partner, whoever it is, actually moved the Bitcoin. So obviously, if it's on chain, you can always see this, right? You can see the transaction history and so forth. So some of these, when he actually gets into it, he sees that the friend that was supposed to be like the backup phrase or the recovery partner, if you will, the person that helped him to get into Bitcoin, that person was like, "Oh no, you lost it. Sorry, you can't get into it." And a couple times, those people actually went back in and moved it. So, why am I bringing all this stuff up? This is a positive story. This is supposed to be feel good, right? So, number one, the feel good side is there is hope for people that have lost their access to their Bitcoin. Now, of course, this is again not a Bitcoin problem. This is actually the hardware wallet problem, tricking it and getting into it and so forth. But also the fact that those genuine happy reactions, I just wanted to share that with you guys because there's some really great feel good moments. I saw one of the guys that I was watching last night, actually. He and his wife lost a child and they were just devastated by the whole thing and they just kind of locked down, checked out. And as a result of it, the guy forgot the password to get into the Trezor and somehow lost the paper that he had wrote down the phrase on. And of course, years go by. They thought they would never see this thing again. And if I'm not mistaken, it was $280,000 that he and his wife can now access that they had from years back and their other children. So, great stuff like that. I think is absolutely amazing. So I want to highlight this guy right here. He is a white hack hacker. And he is an old school guy. Like I said, man, if you're really into tech, if you're really into the history of cryptography and all sorts of stuff, the history of how these hackers, if you will, those cypherpunks came to be, this is a guy to check out because he was once on the other side of the law doing all sorts of crazy stuff as a teenager. And now I believe he's like in his 40s, maybe his early 50s. He's completely on the other side. He's helping people and he's just doing all this stuff. He's absolutely amazing. Highly recommend. Check out his YouTube channel. And he's been putting up some videos and such. And yeah, this was, it was 4 years ago. Wow, was it that long ago I saw this thing? Well, anyways, like I said, the original video, it was years ago. And every now and then he has, well, made it a series. He's putting them out pretty regularly now. And like, it's great. It's great entertainment. So, anyways, moving on from Joe Grand, who again, I just think you should check out his channel, all the cool things that he's doing. The next story that we're going to go to, we're going to check out Boltz launches non-custodial USDC swaps, bridging Bitcoin directly to Circle regulated dollars. So now you might be thinking, like, why the heck would any Bitcoiners actually care about this thing? Well, as I opened up by saying, we like to speak about the circular economies and how businesses are adopting all this stuff ties into the circular economies. And let's be honest, if you're a business and you have physical materials, you're going to have to restock, usually using whatever local currency that you're using. Also, that you have to pay your taxes and so forth. And in most cases, let's say you're in the US, you're going to end up having to use dollars and so on. So businesses that use Bitcoin, that's one of the problems that we have found with starting circular economies around the world, especially where I am here in the Caribbean and so forth, is like, yes, you can get them to adopt it because they're used to taking multiple currencies. So yes, Bitcoin just another currency to add to the Canadian dollar, US dollar, euro, pound, whatever it is. However, how are they going to restock their supplies? How are they going to pay their taxes, their staff, et cetera, et cetera? A lot of those sort of things come in because not everyone yet is on the Bitcoin standard. So we get the business on, but then how are they going to do that? So this is a story that I find very interesting is that it's non-custodial USDC. So yes, we're talking about Bitcoin, circular economies, and we're Bitcoiners. We love this stuff. That's what we want. But again, those new businesses that have those real concerns about physical bills and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, how they're going to pay this stuff. I think this is just a great innovation that kind of ties all of that in right there. And again, this is not a sponsored segment or anything of that nature, but just to show you, like, Boltz been around for a little bit, right? Boltz.exchange, non-custodial Bitcoin bridging. And now DYOR, there are your own risks and all sorts of thefts that can happen with bridging and so on. But, we know what it is. Do your own research on this, et cetera. But I just want to show you like all the various people that are working with the various partners and what they're doing. Of course, like, there's like a who's who of all these like Bitcoin companies and so forth that are in the space that are doing some interesting things, whether it's wallets, Fedi, all these different things. And if you are ever in the onboarding Bitcoin business, right? If boots on the ground, teaching business owners and various people in ways that, look, this is what you should be doing. You should be adopting Bitcoin. You should be accepting Bitcoin as payment, Bitcoin tourism. Bitcoiners will come from all over the world, go off the beaten path and go to your business if you're accepting Bitcoin as payment. Yeah, easy pitch. But then where it usually breaks down, and if I'm talking to you and you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's probably because you've never tried to onboard a business owner. But if you have this conversation, what's going to come up is, well, how am I supposed to restock after I sell them this stuff? How am I supposed to keep the lights on? It's not like I can go to Con Edison, JPS, or whatever name of your power company is, right? And pay them using Bitcoin yet. So, how are we going to do that? So, a lot of the times you then have to explain to them like various options and so forth. And I think this technology like this helps to spark and spur the, I guess you'd say, the adoption globally, because these are very real concerns. Just sitting on your Bitcoin and never using it, it's a luxury for people with money, right? People that are small businesses all around the world, a lot of them, just like how people live paycheck to paycheck. Well, a lot of these businesses are basically floating until the next truck comes in, right? So they have to use the sales from today to restock for next week. Now, as someone who, I guess you would say, my family is in the grocery business, grocery distribution. Those of you that don't know, when I'm offline, this is what I do here in the wonderful island of Jamaica. So again, I know what it's like to be in the US. I know what it's like to be outside the US. Very different conversations are taking place. And when it comes to a physical business, these are the conversations that's come up. And when you're talking about restocking a grocery store, most people don't know this, but a grocery store gets trucks coming in literally every single day. And like in the event of a storm or something, maybe you saw this during COVID or some crazy hurricane or whatever, blizzard, but within 2 weeks, the shelves are empty. The only thing that will be left in your average grocery store are like the things like mothballs that like nobody's buying during disaster times, like all the bread, crackers, sardines, water, everything. Like 2 weeks supply max. The storeroom cannot hold months and months and months. Plus, you don't want to tie up all that money anyways because the money has to keep flowing. But anyways, it's not a business lesson how to run a grocery store, but that is just a real conversation that I would be having. And yeah, you can read further into this. It's on Bitcoin Magazine. Bolts adding this. This was just a couple days ago. So this is fresh off the press, if you will. Really cool stuff that's happening in the world of Bitcoin. But closing those out right there, let's go to some circular economy stories, right? So those of you that have never seen this in action, I really want to show this to you. This is in South Africa. A lot of times we go to like Bitcoin Akasi page, Tando Wallet page in Kenya and various places. But if you have never seen this in action, check this out here. So yeah, just like that, that person just paid in rand. So rand is the South African currency and so forth. So just like that, using the QR codes, the scanning, if you will, a person can spend Bitcoin on coffee, on food, whatever, all these little trivial purchases that people said no one would ever buy blank with Bitcoin. Well, it happens all around the world. It's just that we're not really privy for it. Now, all the time I talk about Jack Dorsey, all the stuff that he's doing with Square, Block, Cash App, and all these other companies that he's working with and talking to and really trying to get the circular economy going, because he's of the mindset and the thesis of, if it's just a store of value, Bitcoin will fail. People have to spend it, use it, has to be money because it is digital money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can either agree or disagree with Jack Dorsey. That's your business. But I'm just saying that the way in which these things are happening, it's not that people are buying cups of coffee on main chain using their Bitcoin and waiting for the settlements. They're using Lightning, right? So all sorts of tech is happening for that to be done, and it makes it quick. And as you saw in that video right there, someone went to the line just like they would be using their tap to pay. Yeah, there's maybe like a second and a half difference. Like it's a little bit slower than just tapping your phone. But at the same time, too, guess what? You're using Bitcoin. So if you are a Bitcoiner, that sort of stuff tickles your fancy, if you will. I think you'll find that very interesting, and I just want to highlight that because here we go. This is a company or a group of people, if you will, and they're in. I believe this was South Africa. Let's see. Yep, yeah, right there, South Africa. So all over the continent of Africa, you'll find these types of examples. And again, some things that you want to search up, you can look up Tando Wallet, what's happening with Bitcoin Akasi, anything with circular economy. Usually it's going to be Africa, but there's a lot happening in Asia too, as well. And LATAM, right? Latin America doing some great things there. So hopefully I'm not blowing through this really, really, really fast and you're following all this, but this is recorded. You can roll this back. You can check this, trying to keep the interest up, if you will. But here's another video. Speaking of Bitcoin Akasi, I just want to show this to you that A lot of these videos I like to share. Now, this is a really cool one with them painting in the suburbs, or I shouldn't say the suburbs, painting in the area of South Africa using the Solo Satoshi logo. So like there's Bitcoin logos and lightning things being put up literally everywhere. Bitcoin accepted here. You'll see like a random store where people are selling roast corn on the side of the road. They're accepting Bitcoin using their Lightning wallet and so on, using these QRs. But let me drop this for you so you can actually hear it and you can feel the vibes, if you will. Feel the vibes. All right. So hopefully you heard that. Trying to play this music here. And you know what? Let me just double check really quick. I'm going to go right here because nothing would be worse than the audio not coming through with you hearing this. I did a test stream right before this because I was like, you know what? There's going to be a section where I really want the audio to come through. So the absolute last thing I would want is for that not to come through when I go to this next section right here. So I'm going to section this right here. Up there we go. Share and yep. So it did have the uh audio coming through. So that is good. Just want to make sure because nothing is worse than doing a stream when you think audio is coming through and it is not. So the next story that I want to go to. So obviously, like I said, if you go to Bitcoin Akasi or a lot of these African or Latam pages, you'll see all sorts of things such as this. You're going to see videos, lots of music, them boots on the ground, building the circular economy. I think that is just really, really, really cool. Some really interesting things there. And of course, that is all positive, feel good stuff. I mean, the music alone, you might not even be a Bitcoiner, but you can sit down, you can vibe out to these music, and you'll just see how people are bettering their communities, right? Whether it is they're raising money for whatever cause it is, onboarding other people, teaching people the skills to then go out and use these things. I think is absolutely amazing because if you are taking Bitcoin as a payment, right, that means you're also offering a value, whether it is textiles in Kenya, right? So a lot of people in Kenya, these women are learning to sell clothing, make clothing, sell clothing, accept Bitcoin as payment. So it's doing a lot to benefit individuals. And I think it's just absolutely great that this is not a conversation about speculation. This is not, hey, you can make $1 million overnight or something crazy, or put all of your whatever earnings from your fiat farming during your day job into Bitcoin and just let it park there forever and you'll be generationally rich. Well, a lot of these people are going, like I said, whether paycheck to paycheck, day to day. A lot of places in the world, you'll see merchants on the road selling socks and buckets on their head. And they're selling socks for that day to buy dinner to go home and cook it for their family that night, right? So that conversation is like, whatever. And one of the things that actually I had when I Bitcoin Pizza Day, was it last year or 2 years ago? I was able to onboard a socks merchant. This lady that was selling socks on the board, the street. I bought some socks from her with Sats. She turned in, went, got a couple slices of pizza from the pizza place, and it was just really cool that instantly we saw go from me to the socks vendor and to the business owner. Bitcoin allowed money to change hands 3 times, and that's what a circular economy does. The money goes around in the community; it doesn't ship out. It's us spending money with each other and enriching each other. So I was cool. I got some socks somewhere around here. I had them on my desk for a while because I'd hold them up every time I would tell that story. Then also she got some pizza, and the local business owner sold some pizza. So it's a win-win. 3 of us are happy. We all walked away, and what the technology that was in the middle of all that was Bitcoin. So Speaking of the technology that allowed all of that, we're going to go to kind of a different pace right now. And I'm going to be 100% honest. Like the first time I heard about this Samurai Wallet case, I was completely wrong. I had to like issue an apology on my page. Not really an apology because I didn't say it to anyone. I wasn't talking crazy about this thing. I just had some very wrong misconceptions because I was misinformed by the media. The initial reports that came out about the Samurai Wallet and Keanu Rodriguez and his co-founder, uh, it made it seem absolutely horrible. Like these guys are money laundering. They're glorifying washing money and everything. Like the headlines, the media, as we all know, the media isn't unbiased, not necessarily just reporting the news. They're telling a narrative and shaping opinions. And I fell victim to, I shouldn't say victim. It was my own wrongdoing as a person that's always critical, skeptical of everything that's happening in the media. When I saw these headlines, saw the quotes from their messages and so forth, I was like, yeah, this guy definitely knows what he's doing. Everything was taken out of context. And the deeper I went into this personally and researched this, I was like, I was wrong. And a matter of fact, I was on a Wolf Bitcoin space probably about a year and a half ago. Maybe it was like literally as the news broke. So I'm trying to piece together my timelines as to when that was. And a guy was like, all due respect, but I think you're wrong. I was like, love to hear that. Right? Nothing's worse than like a love fest. Everybody's agreeing and just kissing each other's butt on stage. So someone says to me, like, I think you're wrong, that opened up my mind. I said, maybe I need to revisit this thing and research it. Well, I can't remember who it was because we have so many great speakers in the Wolf Circle that I can't remember who challenged me to go dig deeper, research this thing. And I have to say that he's right. So whoever that was, if you know who it was that said, hey, Tropic, you're wrong. I appreciate you to the fullest because it actually made me go do my own research. So here I am a year and a half later, kind of correcting my sins of the past. And Girl in the Verse, Millennia, put out this video interviewing the co-founder's wife, and I thought it was an absolute great thing. Now I queued this up. Let me see if I can get this right to the right spot. And I just want to play a few seconds or a few minutes of this because I think it's absolutely great. So again, this is Girl in the Verse, and she did an amazing job in this interview right here. So hopefully, let me double check this, make sure the sound is coming through. But here we go. Then boots on the ground, founder. It makes seem man, on a second look here, I'm trying to like pick it up on a second screen, trying to make sure that the audio is coming through. For whatever reason, it doesn't seem like it is. So good thing I checked on a second phone, but I just want to highlight what exactly is happening right here. So the reason why I think this is absolutely an amazing story that needs to be highlighted and looked into. And again, I'm going to admit 100%, like I myself personally, Tropic Taj, I was wrong on this one in understanding it. But basically, what is happening here is these guys put out the code. They were having a casual conversation back and forth, like trying to explain exactly what it is that you're doing. Because most of us have speak to the quote unquote normies. We speak to people that have no clue what we're doing, what we're dedicating our time to, why this technology is even important, and so forth. They just know some crazy stuff from the news, and they have wrong ideas and conceptions of going on. So we use analogies, we simplify things, we oversimplify, we joke around, we say silly stuff, right? And that's what was used against the guy in the court. So, anyways, the reason why this is an important case, and this is something that should be really paid attention to by everyone, not just Bitcoiners, but any developer or anyone that's really interested in freedom of speech. So, you can look it up, Google this right now. Is code freedom of speech? If you're in the US, there is a huge case that came out that actually labeled code as freedom of speech. So, freedom of speech is actually baked into Bitcoin. Different rabbit hole, not going there today, but you can research that on your own. Just as I was challenged to go research something, if this is something that you're interested in, research it for yourself and you'll figure this out. So, freedom of speech is directly tied into Bitcoin. So, those of you that think that, oh, this is just a speculative asset and like these guys are like just whatever, trying to enrich themselves out of making money out of thin air, like do your own research or research this thing. And like you've been misled and misinformed, just like I was in the past too, as well. But with this case, these privacy wallet, the Samurai wallet, and the case, like they were hit up for like trying to like conspiracy to money launder, all this crazy stuff. They're serving 5 years in prison right now. Both he and his co-partner, co-founder, which this is his wife, who is free, bring attention to it. They're trying to get a petition signed to hopefully catch the attention of the president so he could be pardoned and he'll be freed. So they have the free hashtag free samurai going around and so on. And again, the reason why I'm highlighting this, because if I could be wrong, and I spend so much time in the trenches and understanding all this stuff, and I was manipulated by headlines and so on. The fact that she went out there, she met his wife and interviewed him in this way, I think it's just absolutely amazing. So I wanted to highlight that. Really feel good stuff. This whole free samurai movement. Now, this is not a Bitcoin movement. This is honestly a freedom movement. And I think this is, of course, the ethos of Bitcoin, power to the people, all those things. This is really up our alley. So it ties everything together. The tech itself, it's tying the freedom to the people, circular economies, all of these different things is just coming together so beautifully in the sense that this particular case, like there's so many fallen soldiers. We have our freedom through fallen soldiers, if you will, both figuratively and literally. And we're building on the shoulders of giants, all these different things. Well, this is one that like years from now, we'll be looking back at and saying, man, this is like a pivotal moment. Either, yes, this is why things went right, or crap, we should have stuck up for it. Like this is where things start to go bad. And this is where things went down the hill. So, anyways, with this, the idea that the founders or the creators of code can be held responsible for what other people do with it is the same thing like a knife manufacturer, right? For example, if you are actually, I used to work for and sell Cutco in Olean, New York, upstate New York. There, well, that's where the factory was. I've never been there, but they were shipped out of Olean, New York, and I'm there selling. I love these cutlery, by the way. These like 20 years, and I still have them. And if someone goes out and makes a beautiful meal with that, well, guess what? That factory in Olean, New York has nothing to do with that meal other than the fact that they supplied the hardware that did it. It's not like Olean, New York, Cutco, they're great cooks. No, it was just a tool that was used by a chef. Now, if this thing goes in the hand of some serial killer, some crazy stuff happens. Scream movie, those of us from the late 90s, early 2000s. That could have very well been the chef knife from Olean, New York. Now, are you going to say, hey, this whole thing is absolutely terrible. We need to shut down this factory and lock up everybody that's making these cutlery, right? We wouldn't say knives. We said cutlery because you call up somebody and say, hey, Mrs. Jones, can I show up at your door and with some, you don't know me, but I'll show up with some knives. No, we say cutlery because cutlery is just more palatable. Anyways, those people aren't going to be held accountable for what happens. So the same thing here happens with code. Now, very funny. This is like the type of thing that comes up every few years with social media. If someone puts up hate speech, like let's say someone says something that's blatantly offensive to me, right? Now, am I going to hold X or YouTube or Facebook, whatever platform, like hostile? I'm like, this is absolutely horrible. You guys are the ones who are saying this. No, a common sense person is going to say, hey, the person that posted this is a jerk, right? They have no sense. They're ignorant, whatever it might be. So the same thing is happening here, and why this whole case with the code is so important. If this is able to be the precedent going forward, some crazy things could happen. So, anyways, I spent enough time on this hashtag right here, Free Samurai. Just click that and start to scroll down and see all of the different things that are related to this. This is like a movement that's picking up. A lot of people are speaking about this. This is not a brand new story, but again, this is something that I've been researching literally for whenever it was that they were arrested and all that stuff came out and the news was just going on and on and on and on, and all those misconceptions. Um, that first week is when I got the challenge, and I've been researching it since. And yeah, I was wrong. So I thought this was a great video that I just want to highlight right there. So those of you that are new to the space, new to the stream, if you will. This is a good bit stream. Normally, we feature all the amazing things that's happening in the world of Bitcoin that's not related to prices, the charts, and all this stuff. We like to highlight positive stories. We like to highlight the things of circular economies and the tech that enables all of this stuff worldwide. That's what we do. And this is the good bit stream every Saturday. This is 7 p.m. Eastern time. Really appreciate every single person that comes and hangs out with us. And those of you that have dropped comments and messages, sent us all sorts of stuff. Okay, reposted the stream, Jackwad, really appreciate you. This is great. Yet no sound on my end. That's the issue why I cut off and started speaking right there, which for some reason I tested this on my personal page and I wanted to make sure that like the audio was coming through. But for whatever reason, when I came back and I'm doing this and I'm playing this, it's not going through. But anyways, go to Girl in the Versus page, check that out, and really hear her interview of Keanu Rodriguez's wife there speaking about the case and all these different things. And if you want the exact timestamp of where I was going to run it, if you start at 45 seconds and you go till 5 minutes and 42 seconds, so or just go 42 to 5:42. So 5 minute clip. Might have played the whole thing. I don't know if I was going to, but that is like the section really talking about it. And then you can do your own research, see what actually was put out by the media and all these different things. And I think it's just really great that you're just well rounded, you're balanced. Don't take my word for it. Don't take her word for it. Go do your research, look at that, and then Google that whole thing. Bitcoin freedom of speech is code freedom of speech. Whatever LLM that you want to talk to, go do your research on that. And then at the end of all that research, then make your opinion and say, you know what? I think this guy was unjustly served. I think something is not right, whatever it might be. I think something is what's the word I saw from this like comedy mystery? Afoot. Something's afoot here. Um, you know, draw your own conclusions. But I really appreciate every single person that has come through that shares this. This is a recorded video, live stream. This is live, all the bloopers and all. So share this out to your friends. And again, thank you for people like Jack here that shared this out, because these stories are the type of things that we would like to highlight, right? We highlight the wins, we highlight the green charts. So why not highlight some of these positive stories and like let people think and see that we Bitcoiners are not all just about the price action. We're not all about money go up, chart go up to the right. We are focused on the positive things that happens within the space. So that is what the Good Bistro is. Those of you that are not familiar with Wolf Bitcoin, maybe it's your first time here. We do live streams, we do spaces, we do posts like going out around the clock every single day, 365, no days off. So check out all the amazing stuff. And if you're into TradFi, Wolf Financial, guys over on Wolf Trading or trading stuff too as well. So there's literally something for everybody within the Wolf ecosystem. The tech over on Wolf Crypto, whatever it might be. If you are just really interested in all of these various things, just explore great content. And most importantly, I just want to thank every single one of you that have spent the last however long I've been streaming, 34 minutes and 54 seconds with me, because there's a million things that you could be doing on a Saturday afternoon. So I really appreciate it that you're spending it with me. So have a nice weekend, share it with a friend, and I will see you in the next one. My name is Taj. See you guys later.